until we get some growth here. But all right, there we go. So welcome everybody to the channel. This is a brand new channel. I'm Uncle Freezy. This is the I Know Basketball Man, Dre. We are going to talk NBA basketball tonight. I have a ton of questions I've been waiting to ask IBM Dre for about a season and a half. And since we were on another channel, we couldn't ask NBA specific questions because of the audience. But since we're generating a new audience here, what we're going to do is address those NBA questions. And Dre, one of the questions I want to ask you, since you made that point right there about the Atlanta Hawks fans going crazy, and the Indiana Pacers having the number one offense.
Yep.
Do you think the way that Indiana is built is the way that teams are going to build their teams in the future? Now, with a distributing point guard, with a center that can shoot threes, with 3-point shooters on the wing, and elite athletes that can defend, is that the wave?
Well, to answer the question about elite defenders that can defend, I don't think they have that at this current moment. Neesmith is
Okay.
a nice player,
Okay.
but while they lead the league in points per game, they're also like one of the worst defending teams in the league because they don't really have a point of attack defender at this current juncture.
Okay.
Halliburton is not that. I don't think he ever will be that, and that's fine with his offensive.
He was touted as that coming out of college, right?
Yeah, but as we
But you
say,
can't be
like,
both. You
can't
can't be
both,
all
not at this
offense.
level.
Yeah, you can't be. Yeah, you can't.
And
be
if
both.
you're carrying a team, if you're averaging 25 and 11 assists, it's okay if you take breaks on defense. It's
Right.
perfectly it's perfectly fine.
Right.
As long as you have moments where you can ratchet it up, especially in the playoffs. But doing it on both ways for entire games, no. An 82 game season, no, it's impossible.
It's impossible, right? It's
But
too much of a load for one player to bear.
but ultimately they have a few of the things that you desire for a modern NBA offense. Now, when we get into the playoffs, you need to be able to get stops, point
Right.
blank, period. Because
Right.
the overwhelming majority of teams over the last 10 years that have won titles, they had a top 10-ish, usually top 5 defense to go along with a high-powered offense.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's not something you can ignore. I will say, yes, playmaking guards with versatility, bigs with versatility that can pick and pop, can score inside and out, athletes.
Right.
Like, and when we talk about playmakers, Halliburton's not a small playmaker. He's a legit 6'5", 6'6", with a
Right.
long
Right.
wingspan.
Right.
So he has the ability to see over defenses and see
Right.
holes and windows that the average point guard can't even see, let alone attempt. So when we talk about like where the league is going, yeah, the league is going in that direction in terms of what they put on the court offensively.
Right.
But in order to win titles or win at the highest level, you
Okay.
need to have switchable, rangy wings, which I don't believe they have very many of over there.
Right.
And you need to be able to have a point of attack defender, at least one that takes a lot of pressure off of your playmaker that you do have.
What do you
So he
need that
can.
point of attack defender at? What position?
Well, it
Do you,
depends on your. Well, it depends. Well, usually point of attack means in respect to the NBA, point of attack is usually a ball handler in a pick and roll offense because that's what the league has gone to. Pick and
right.
roll, heavy isolation, and you need usually a guard or a big guard to be able to navigate around screens, hold up, and be agile and nimble, and be able to basically chase around these elite perimeter players.
Right.
It's a very hard job to do.
It's a
The
very
guys
hard
that
job.
the guys that do that usually aren't the most productive on offense.
I had a trade idea for Indiana,
Mm,
and it'll probably make you laugh, but it's gonna make you laugh on a couple of levels, right?
yeah.
I If I'm Indiana, I would do Obi Toppin for Davion Mitchell.
Mm,
Both are top 10 picks that have not
panned out with the
Yeah,
original organization that they were drafted by.
yeah, and then both provide something for the team that they're going to that'll get them minutes, right?
Athleticism.
Because Davion's not going to play in Sacramento. Mike Brown's not going to play him, bro. You know what I'm saying? And the writing's already on the wall. Davion, you notice when Mike Brown took over, Davion Mitchell disappeared off the radar in Sacramento, right?
Yeah, because he just didn't offer what was needed at the point for them
Right,
because they already had a ton of guards and they're, let's face it, they're leaning more offensively,
right.
so they don't really, not that they don't need a point of attack defender, but I think ironically they got one from the Pacers already,
Right.
Duarte,
Duarte.
and his minutes has been slowly
Okay.
increasing while um playing
And
alongside
I
their
think
star point guard.
Murray is decent. Fox is decent. You never know what you're going to get from Monk
On
because
defense, which you're talking about, or are you talking in general?
just in general, because he looks elite at times in a lot of different things.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, I'll say this about Fox: over the last 5 or 6 games, he's averaging like 35,
Yeah,
35 and like
he
8.
is the sneaky league MVP for me.
Ooh,
Yeah, he's the
it's a
sneaky
dark
league
horse.
MVP. Yeah, like very dark horse, like 11:59 dark.
Ooh,
You know what I'm saying? So, but I think he may be the guy that is in that situation where when good things happen, he'll bust on the radar, but when bad things happen, Sacramento's so far off the radar you won't even notice
yeah, because of
the
just
market.
because of the market itself.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's hard to get eyes on you out there unless you're this extremely exciting, explosive type of athlete.
right. And um um yeah, that and then I think there is the fan base for Sacramento is just about as crazy as the Knicks fan base.
Oh yeah,
Shout out to the Knicks
they're
fan base.
rabid. They're very rabid.
Right. Whereas other fan bases like Atlanta have all their fans are on We Talk Hawks live stream right now.
All of them.
All 17 of the Atlanta Hawks fans.
The intense fans,
Yeah, yeah.
the ones that
Yeah.
actually care.
The ones that actually care. Yeah. Yeah. They are. But here's the thing too that I wanted to ask about. The Indiana versus Atlanta thing doesn't surprise me. Right. I tell you what does surprise me though. Cleveland beating Philly tonight.
They didn't have Donovan Mitchell out there.
That surprised me tonight. Right. And
They
they
almost
started
gave that
three
game up.
bigs.
Yeah,
My bad.
they almost gave that game up. I think Dean Wade was starting for them.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, that coach has shown the ability or the willingness to put three bigs out there because when Markkinen was over there, he started at the 3
Right.
before they traded him.
Right.
And well, the versatility of their two bigs, they're more mobile than most bigs. And they can cover so much ground. You can
Right.
help a guy like Dean Wade be capable and sound on defense. While
Right.
him being a big, he can help with his length. But
Right.
yeah, um, yeah.
Yeah.
What was your point?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised at Cleveland. I'm
Why is that?
surprised Cleveland is learning how to win these type of games, even when they're shorthanded.
Well, they started out pretty rough this year.
Rough. Yeah, they started off rough.
Rebounded. They rebounded even without Donovan Mitchell. I'm not quite sure why he's out.
Right.
I didn't really check the injury report, but I did know he did not play tonight.
If you are Cleveland, do you entertain maybe a trading of Donovan Mitchell?
It might be something that's going to have to happen anyway because he's not resigning. Well, he's not taking that extension. You might as well try to get what value you can get out of him while he's still viewed as a top 20 player.
Would you flip him for Zach LaVine and Patrick Williams?
No, Definitely not Zach Levine.
Right, right,
Well, I'm not high on Zach Levine personally.
right.
Scott Perry said a few words about how he's not necessarily impactful, but
Right.
the Chicago Bulls are a dumpster fire, and they won't make any asset look very enticing, would they?
If if you are Chicago, I think I'm interested in making that offer. And the reason why is because Chicago, listen, they have to trade Caruso, right? They have to trade
Yeah, they got to
um
start there. They got
they
to
got to
start the fire sale.
and the thing
But
about it
the
is
thing, I was gonna say, not to cut you off, but if you start a fire sale, Donovan Mitchell wants no part of a rebuilding team.
well, I'm talking to him about doing the rebuild around him.
Well, you better do it fast because
Right.
he's smack dab in his prime, right?
Right now. Yeah.
And guys of his stature don't last too long. High
Right.
flying, explosive, undersized guard.
Right.
They
Right.
they they don't last too much longer after 30 at
Right.
playing
And
at that particular level.
right. My thing is use the Indiana model, right? Use the Indiana model where you trade away all the assets, but you bring in young guys that are around the same age to build around, so to speak. First of all, you have to start with the dynamo, and by getting Donovan Mitchell, that's your dynamo. Now you have to trade Vucevic and guys
DeMar,
Demar, yeah, Caruso, and what you do because nobody's going to want to take on Vucevic's contract, right? Not a
nope.
playoff team, right? So what you do is in my mind attach Caruso and DeRozan, one of the two with Vucevic.
That's a ton of money though.
That's a ton of
Well,
and a ton of years.
Caruso might be the one that you can attach because he doesn't make that much money and he's the enticing piece in it all.
Right,
Where you're moving up basically, I think around $29 million.
right,
Well, if you're attaching DeRozan, it's damn near $50 million.
right. But DeRozan has what 1+1 left.
I believe he expires next. No,
Okay,
he expires this year.
okay,
He's a
okay,
free agent going into the summer.
okay. Well, there you have it then. There you have it. An expiring contract. You see what you can get for him. And quite honestly, I think a team like the Knicks
Hmm.
should at least show interest, even though we know they won't pull the trigger because they're not for the sake of clarity. They're not trigger pullers,
Yeah,
right?
they're
They don't trade. They don't make the small. They don't trade to upgrade slightly. Every trade they have in mind is for a home run.
and that's why you don't. It's like the super patient hitter.
Right.
Eventually, you're just gonna strike out. But that's a whole another point for a whole
Yeah.
another show.
Yeah. Eventually, you're Daniel Vogelback or Lucas Duda. That's what you turn into.
Yeah.
You know, you have the power to do stuff, but you're so patient. You never swing. All of a sudden, you're Lucas Duda.
Then all of a sudden you're 0-2,
Right. Right.
and all you
Right.
can do is defensive swing. You can't put
Yep.
no power behind it.
Right. And that eliminates your best asset. Right.
Your power.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if you're Chicago, what type of trade do you explore for Zach Levine? Do you go for a home run type deal, or do you go for a 3-team, 4-team deal where you just get off Zach and get some random first round picks in return?
It to be absolutely honest, I think they should just blow it up all the way down to the ground. Like
Right.
I wouldn't even try to do like the quick turnaround with Donovan Mitchell and try to build around him because they've already shown me an inability to build around a star quickly.
Okay.
Like they tried to do it. They tried to bring DeMar DeRozan and sign Lonzo Ball and sign Boost and trade for Vucevic, and it failed miserably. I wouldn't even trust that front office to do that. I wouldn't trust the front office to maximize the talent of the Donovan Mitchell in a 2 year span because they failed to do it with. Not to say Zach Levine is in Donovan Mitchell's category, but they
Right.
failed to do it while adding multiple talents and committing to guys that make a ton of money, and they failed at it miserably. It would be even more of a disservice to Donovan Mitchell because Donovan Mitchell makes even more money he's gonna take up even more of your cap, which makes it a little bit even harder
Right.
to build around him. And that organization hasn't shown the ability, or that front office has shown the ability to do
Right.
that.
Right.
And
Okay.
granted, everybody in that front office kind of
The,
failed to do it since Tibbs left. So
since Tibbs left, yeah. The only trade in my mind across the NBA that makes sense for Chicago is Quickly and Zach Levine. Emmanuel Quickly and Zach Levine, and I know they don't make the same amount of money, but in terms of value, I think you have to start with a franchise point guard, and not a rookie either, right? You want to start off with
uh,
somebody
a young
that's so
veteran
young.
that might be cost controlled, and then you
Yep,
just
yep,
build around him
yep.
in
And
that
then
time.
if he turns out not to be the guy, like if Quickly turns out not to be the guy in that trade, then you still have him for the cheap as a backup. You know he's a quality six man, right? And then you also got off of Zach Levine's contract, which you can use to pay a free agent to come in during the summer, so to speak, right? Because I know it seems off the rip like the money doesn't match, but Evan Fournier's money will be coming off, right? So you have to add cap filler in order to make it work. But if you're Chicago, you have to take that gamble, right? And you have to also
Yeah, you have
clear
to gamble on a younger talent because if you gamble on an established talent, number one, they might not even want to be there. Number two,
right,
they like like a guy like Quickly is just happy to have the opportunity to start
right, right,
and
and
lead his own team. Like talking on taking on guys that have already done it
right,
and putting them in a situation where they have to be patient in the middle of their prime. It's
right,
very hard to sell to an organization that hasn't shown the ability to build anything correctly or coherently.
right,
At that point, you just got to burn it down to the ground and take gambles on young, high ceiling talent,
right. And
upstarts.
ultimately too, ultimately also, you don't want to trade Zach Levine for Zach Levine. You
Yeah,
feel me? Like you don't want to get rid of the Zach Levine to bring in a veteran just like Zach Levine and then have the same issue happening again next season.
yeah.
You don't want to have you don't want to have that. Hey, I'm very glad to be here. I woke up last night in such and such place. I thought I was going to get traded to Boston, but here I am in Chicago. You don't want one of those type situations. So the Quickly gamble to me is a gamble worth taking because you get to see him play out the rest of this season before you pay him next summer, right? You get up Zach Levine's huge contract, and then by trading away other pieces, your Caruso's, your Vucevic, your DeRozan, you get to see what a Quickly and Patrick Williams future looks like. And on paper, it looks disgusting, but you never know what can happen in 55, 60 games.
I think they're out on Patrick Williams over there, though, from what
Yeah,
I've been
I think
hearing.
so. I think they're out on them because of Zach Levine, DeMar DeRozan, and Vucevic. So,
Well,
you,
yeah,
you,
they're three ball dominant guys.
right, right. All occupy your power forward can't even operate because your small forward operates in that space. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
there's that to it. I don't think Toronto is a good fit for them because they can't eat. They don't even have room for Gary Trent Jr. to start because they have Barnes, Ananobi, and Siakam. So if you trade Zach Levine there, either one of those guys comes back in return, and you have a similar issue, or one of those guys is coming off the bench, and now you have a team chemistry issue to work on.
hmm
I don't see anybody out west that's a fit. And what I mean by, and I know fit sounds all encompassing, but in terms of fit, I mean where they are as an organization. Are they a playoff team? Are they a lottery team? Is Zach Levine okay being traded to a lottery team? Is a lottery team going to give up draft picks to Chicago just to acquire Zach Levine? Like, do you do that if you're Portland? No.
No, no, you
Do
do
you do
that
you do
if
it if you're San Antonio? No.
you do that if you want a guy that's if you're considering yourself one piece away from a title and you want this guy to be your third option, like Miami Heat,
Right.
hypothetically
Right.
speaking.
Right. And as I look at the
Or the
Western
Lakers.
Conference, you think the Lakers are a fit?
I think honestly, I do think he's like maybe possibly the most ideal fit for the Lakers because they do. Granted, Austin Reeves is a nice little player.
Right.
D'Angelo Russell is a nice little player, but he fits that role of elite spacer and partially has the ability to take close out a game from the perimeter because ultimately
Okay.
you need one of those guys down the stretch. Like LeBron is not the perimeter isolation scorer that that Levine is,
Right.
and LeBron usually defaults to those types of guys. Like he defaults to Kyrie when it's coming down the
Who do you
stretch.
give up?
They probably gonna have to give up Austin Reeves and D'Lo at the same time to match the money,
Yeah.
and then go to their reserves. And but that it's hard to take both because those are two ball handlers at the same time, and I don't
Yeah.
think they're comfortable going with Gabe Vincent as like maybe their starting PG or something.
Austin Reeves I thought
One of the two
Austin
of them
Reeves
gotta
and
go.
Zach LaVine were the same age. They're not the same age?
No, Zach LaVine is a little bit older. I want to say Zach LaVine is like 28.
I'm gonna find Austin
Yeah, Zach
Reeves.
LaVine is 28, and Austin
And
Reeves is like 25. Austin Reeves
25. Oh,
is
he's a young 25. Okay.
well, I mean,
Okay.
kind of yeah. He hasn't had that much NBA experience,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he's still 25. So that means he's closer to his ceiling. Whereas Zach LaVine is basically at the top of his powers right this moment, right this second. And
Mm,
if you're operating on LeBron time, then you want to maximize that. And I think
right.
he's ultimately like that better fit, if you were to ask me.
Would you do it if you were Sacramento?
Ooh. That I would do it if I was Sacramento, but he's not on the list and he's not going to waive his trade kicker because he has a 15% trade kicker.
To
So that
Sacramento.
it it's one of those things where trade kicker is like a mini trade kicker is like a
No trade
mini
clause.
yeah, like a mini no trade clause. Where it's just
Right.
a no trade deterrent. That's what it is.
Right.
And I don't think he'd waive it for them. Like he has in his mind he has the Heat and like the Lakers at the top of his list and the
Yeah.
Sixers, I believe. And he's not opposed to a few other teams, according to Chris Haynes, I believe. But I don't think Sacramento Kings are one of those teams. And ultimately, I don't know if you'd want to go there, but I would do it if I was
Sacramento
I
signed
would.
him to an offer sheet before.
Yeah, they wanted him 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and the
No, it's
Bulls
been
matched it. The Bulls matched it because
yeah, the
remember
Bulls
he had
matched it. Yeah.
because remember Zach Levine had an original deal which was 4 years, 80 million, and
Right.
the offer sheet came from the Kings, and the Bulls matched it.
Right.
That was 4 years ago. Now he's on his second deal right now, making a ton of money.
Right.
4 years, 250, $15 million, something like that.
If I'm Sacramento, I do it. If I'm Sacramento, I do it.
Oh
And the
yeah,
reason
you'd have to do it. You'd have to do it because I'll basically be like a three-headed offensive snake. And we know
oh
Mike
god.
Brown knows how to weaponize people on offense at this point. Like he picked up a lot of things from the Warriors, and it's his time spent for the Warriors.
And he runs an old school offense that people forgot about called the Trident offense. And so I think it gives you like six different options
Out
for
of the
everybody to touch
same,
the ball.
yeah,
And
but
and it
it incorporates a lot of triangle in it,
yeah, man.
and it utilizes your big as a decision maker.
And they
So,
do it on the move. The reason
yeah,
why it's so effective is because they get out and run. And so it man, yeah, Zach LaVine and that offense would be scary. The only thing is what does Sacramento pay?
Well, what do the Bulls ask for? Because we know what the Bulls are gonna ask for. They're gonna ask for Keegan Murray off the rip.
Off the rep. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you say ain't talking Keegan Murray, you might as well hang up.
Right.
But because they would be replacing what's his name? That their two guard
Red
that
Velvet.
current
Kevin Herter.
Kevin Herter. They would be replacing him, and that's a hell of an upgrade. But like, do they have the draft capital? Because the only way that will get done, they'd have to throw in Kevin Herter, maybe Harrison Barnes
Yeah.
for the money. But
Davion Mitchell would be gone.
Davion Mitchell would have to go, and a ton of draft capital in order to
Right.
make it work. Because I think they do not want to give up
Murray
at all.
or Herter. I don't think they want to give up Herter or Murray.
But Herter would have to go. Ultimately, in my mind.
You think so?
Where is he going to start? You going to turn Herter into a 6-man?
No, you just bump everybody down a spot. Herter 6'7".
Zach LaVine is a 2 guard. Herter's a 2. Herter's not
right.
And the way they operate is Harrison Barnes is at the 4.
Right.
Keegan is at the 3. Herter's at the 2.
Yep. You see what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm saying I get moving him down, but
in theory,
you'd have to give up something to get something.
Yeah.
You can't just be like take Harrison Barnes and Davion Mitchell and that's it. No, you got to make the money match, and you need more talent than that for Zach LaVine. So I think Kevin Herter would be number 1 to go.
I think the draft picks would be where they would make up for the talent deficit, because Chicago would be rebuilding once they trade their franchise player.
Yeah, they'll take Kevin Herter, Davion, and a ton of draft picks.
Oh, you think they'd take Red Velvet?
Yeah. No, I think that's what the Kings would do.
Okay.
And plug in Zach LaVine right where Red Velvet is. And forget about it after that. Because Zach LaVine can give you exactly what Red Velvet does, but more perimeter creation.
Right.
He's just a more dynamic player. If you were to just plug him in, Kevin Herter. Because the thing with Kevin Herter is, while he's a good shooter, he disappears from time to
time. Because of defense, he's always been like he's that guy. He was that guy in Atlanta. If there's a defensive matchup, bro, you're not gonna see him.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a random defensive matchup. I'm talking about like a Donovan Mitchell matchup. Herter's gonna give you 11 points. That's it.
11 on 3 for 14 shooting. Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah.
Because when he gets red hot, he's red hot. But when he gets cold, he is cold.
Yeah. So if
the Kings were to do it, I think the Red Velvet would go and they would try to match the money with all these other contracts that they have on the team, and throw on Davion Mitchell, and a bunch of draft picks.
Yeah. Anybody else? Could you see a Zach LaVine for DeJounte Murray trade?
No.
Right.
Because they just signed DeJounte Murray, and Atlanta might need to blow it up, but I don't think they'll ever will truly blow it up, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I don't see that happening.
Are you thinking it's too? Are you giving up on Trae Young?
I don't think you can win a title with Trae Young, unfortunately.
As the guy.
Maybe not even the number 2. It's really hard to win championships.
Trae Young is the best pure passer in the NBA today, I think.
Yeah, but everything else is not
struggles. Everything else is struggles.
Inefficient shooter, terrible defender.
Right.
So when you add that into the fact that he's not like the fact that he is one of the best passers in the league.
Right.
But the other things, the other aspects are just not.
Rebounding is non-existent.
No boards.
Right.
Terrible shot selection at times. He's played well tonight, but as you see, they gave up 157 points and huge. definitely
Yeah,
part of that. Part of the reason why that happened.
he was definitely a part of that. If you're Zach Levine, you really don't have the only trade I think makes sense is the Knicks on paper
On
because
paper,
the Knicks have the assets, they can match the money. Zach Levine can go in and slide in between Jalen Brunson, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. Um,
he
I thought
said
about
repeatedly he doesn't want to come here though. That's
I know. That's what I said on paper.
on paper.
On
Oh yeah,
paper,
for sure.
yeah,
On
on paper.
paper, it probably sounds like an ideal fit.
Because in theory, the ideal fit would be somewhere, and I'm talking destination only, not looking at roster. The ideal fit for him would be a place like Washington, where he could go and rehab his image and just go put up a ton of points. A place like just a team off the radar. You can't even say Minnesota anymore because they're so good right now.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
And he already was there, so I don't.
he was. Yeah, indeed, indeed. So there
Maybe
aren't
I'll
many
flip.
places where he can go rehab his image.
I think the clutch thing definitely matters, and I think the Lakers is
Yeah,
the
that's
most.
major.
I think the Lakers is the thing that can rehab. Playing for the Lakers rehabs anybody's image. I'm just
Yeah,
not gonna lie to you. If you play for a successful Lakers team, just look how Meta World Peace was viewed.
yeah.
So he was viewed as a psychopath, a malcontent. He goes to the Lakers, wins a title. Everybody loves him. Big
Everybody
Cuddy
loves him.
there.
They start calling him Ronnie.
So
His name is Ronnie after that. So
yeah, they turn pariahs and perceived cancers into superstars over there.
and yeah, there are no other places where he can go, bro. Legit. I'm looking at destinations. I don't see a destination outside of LA and Washington, not even Washington, bro. So
Washington is
he
headed into
can't go to
full.
Dallas.
Washington is headed into full rebuild mode over
Right.
there, and I don't think Zach Levine. I don't think Zach Levine's talent alone can stop them from losing anyway.
Right. Right. Toronto's a terrible fit unless you offer up Gary Trent Jr. and OG Anunoby. And if you're Chicago, why would you want that in return?
No, that's not enough.
Right. Right.
Unless the only way you take that in return is if you were to flip them again. That's-
Um
You
right.
were to take them and then flip them to another team in a separate deal
Right.
for some
Right.
draft capital. But this is why you do it. You do it because you're burning everything down.
What about Charlotte?
Mm,
LaMelo, Zach Levine, Brandon Miller.
I,
Sounds great on 2K, right?
oh, it sounds amazing on 2K. It sounds like 160 points on 2K.
Right.
But
Right.
but that organization is where talent goes to die, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where talent goes to lose their minds and do crazy things on the
And do
court.
crazy things. Yeah.
But on
Everybody
paper,
else.
I think the reason why Charlotte is doing that because they feel the pressure from Lamelo because Lamelo's out here putting up crazy numbers right now, and they
Yeah.
need to put out some sort of team together to make him not request a trade.
Right. Right. Right.
Even if they
Um,
put together a good team, he's probably gonna request a trade to the Lakers or something.
yeah. 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 I
Lamelo is just that type of guy that wants to go to a big market. You can just tell
you
he's
can
one
tell.
of those guys.
You can tell. I think the writing is on the wall when Jordan leaves. Jordan left. So now what's really the appeal? The
Lamelo's
appeal because the appeal of somebody on the outside that goes to Spectrum Center is
oh,
maybe you'll run across Jordan. Like maybe you'll be walking one way and you'll see Jordan on another deck walking another way. You'll be like, yo, I saw Michael Jordan. Right. You know what I mean? Well, like I bumped into, no lie, I bumped into Del Curry on the steps, right? he was coming up, going to a um leaving the announcers table, coming up through the. I don't know. I don't know why he went that way, but he did. And I
Mm.
joked when I saw him. I joked with him, like saying, "Hey, bro, I remember you from Cleveland." He's like, "Cleveland, right?" And then he looked at me and be like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 Cleveland." And so I talked to him for about 30 seconds about him being one of the best shooters I ever saw.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And while I'm not a Hornets fan, I will go
You're a
to, and this
basketball fan,
a
so
basketball fan, right? So well, not recently. I guess recently is wild to say, but in the past, I've been in arenas like Memphis, which is scary. It's bizarre. Memphis's arena is like a rated R movie, right? You is but anyways, if you're a fan of basketball, why would you go see Charlotte?
LaMelo. That's
LaMelo,
all I got. That's all I got.
right,
That's all I got. Right?
right. And
Well,
and if
I will
LaMelo
say
leaves,
Brandon Miller will be a player though,
yeah,
and the fact that Brandon Miller is showing signs might want to expedite the process of them trying to get a competitive roster. Now I'm not saying title contender, but like the Zach Levine move would be something like a desperate organization does to keep their star happy.
um,
Because if Lamelo says, "Yo, bring Zach Levine here," they're gonna go get Zach Levine. No
if
ifs, ands, or buts.
if I'm Charlotte, bro, I'm dumping all these scraps, right? JT Thor, who I like, by the way. He's just not ready yet.
Gordon Hayward, expiring
Gordon Hayward, yep. James Booknight, all those guys we drafted that wound up being
nothing.
nothing. I'm packaging them in a Zach Levine deal, giving them a fresh start.
Yeah,
You know,
and that would probably be ideal for the Bulls to get some young talent, see if they can have some sort of untapped potential,
right? And if all
and
else
get
fails,
right to the lottery.
yeah, and get right to the lottery. Yep, go ahead and get ready for Cooper Flag next year, or the
Mm,
season after.
mm.
But and what you do by getting rid of all these veteran Chicago fans is seeing what you really have in Kobe White and Patrick Williams. Because Patrick Williams, nobody's going to give you anything
They
for
need they
Patrick
need
Williams.
they what they need to do is blow it up and just let Patrick Williams play half the season
Yep,
without DeRozan and Levine.
ball hogging, jocking them out. Yep,
Yeah, and just and then see if you have something on that, then you can like try to get an extension
right.
based on
Because
what you see.
you make it a Mikal Bridges type offensive explosion where he just looked like the fourth piece, maybe the fifth piece, and you give him a team to himself, and all of a sudden he looks like a two-way player.
Or just any marginal bump in usage where he can just because like on certain teams you can be a third or fourth piece, but the usage is divvied out accordingly, or
Right,
and he can get chances. But when you're playing on a team with Levine and DeRozan and Vucevic, there is no usage left. There's
right,
nothing. There's no scraps.
right.
Whereas if you're on a team like the Kings, the, the Kings like granted a lot of the offense runs through two players, right? But De'Aaron Fox, for the most part, his usage goes up sky high only in the fourth quarter. He plays the offense majority of the game.
Right.
Same as Sabonis. Sabonis is also like a hub, and he's a passer, a willing passer. So when you're
They
on a team
they
like
are
that,
like they are like Jokic and Murray, kinda.
yeah, yeah, and when you look at a team like that, it's so much different than the Bulls because you see the other parts like Keegan Murray and Red Velvet and Harrison Barnes. They all have opportunities
Right.
to show their skill because their ball dominant players are willing passers, and DeMar DeRozan and Zach Levine aren't high level passers, nor do they play a high enough pace
Right.
for this guy to get out, this young guy to get out and run and get some touches, get enough possessions to even show what he can do. Whereas on the Kings, they get so many possessions, it's helpful for a guy like Keegan. Like if Keegan Murray was on the Bulls, he would be struggling too,
Right. Right.
struggling to get looks, touches, open shots because just the offense is just
All right. Let
not
me.
conducive
It's
to
like
winning.
I have one more question. I'm gonna ask before we get out of here. Right. Before I
Mhm.
get out of here, I just want to ask you this: what team do you think is gonna be the surprise, shocking team in April? But when April gets here, what team are you gonna be like? Wow, I really didn't expect them to be this. And it doesn't have to be good; it could be bad also.
Oh wow! I'm a Knicks fan, and I just saw the team that might be a little bit surprising. The
Okay.
Timberwolves. They they they're looking like the real deal, particularly on defense. Now the offense might be a problem in the postseason because they have only one real perimeter threat, and in this NBA, you need like two guys that can be perimeter threats to close games out. Unfortunately,
Okay.
in order to go all the way, so it might be them, but it could be bad. I'm gonna say this: the Warriors just don't look good right now. They they don't look good. And granted, they could turn it on. They
Right.
have Draymond and Curry and I guess championship DNA and Clay, but Clay is washed right now. He's
Clay
doing
is
worse for them than
Clay
he
looks
is.
bad.
And I don't like they might be in the playing freezing
They may not make the
because
play in, bro.
Wiggins just doesn't look engaged right now.
I think he'll bring him. Him.
He might get it together, but he's been like sleepwalking. But recently he had a really good game, but they lost that game to OKC.
Yeah.
But he looks like he's been sleepwalking for a
Yeah.
lot of the
I'm not
season.
worried about. I'm not worried about him. Not to disparage your point, but him, I'm not worried about. Draymond and Clay, Chris Paul.
Old, washed,
I'm super worried about. Yeah.
and
Yeah. I'm super worried
the
about them.
only reason they got CP3 is to get rid of that contract, which is smart to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
uh, they're the team that might be in a play-in situation, and they might not even get out of the play where the West
Oh,
is shaping up right this second.
right. Right. I think the team that's going to shock people. Yeah. I think the team that's going to be. Wow, I didn't see this coming. Is Memphis. I have a
Ooh.
sneaking suspicion that when Ja comes back, that energy that he brings to that arena is going to be insatiable,
I
right?
think
And
it's
I
a little
know they,
too late though, man. It's a
yeah,
little
I
too late.
know. I'm not saying they're going to win 60 games, but what I am saying though is if you're the 1 seed, you don't want to see them as the 8 seed with Ja,
I, I,
and with a full season of Desmond Bain being the guy and Zaire Williams playing a lot. I think they're going through growing pains right now.
I just don't think they're a very good team,
You
especially
mean
because you remember.
roster wise?
No. They're not very good right now because remember Steven Adams is also out, and part of the reason why they were really good is the same formula we play by, where you don't necessarily shoot the most efficient, but we have one of the best offensive rebounders in the league, and they don't have him. And that part of the reason why like they looked great and they had a particular formula because they never shot really well. But I
Right.
think the growing pains they're going through now will help them next season, particularly Desmond Bain. But I think they're too far in a hole right now. Even I don't. You got to more make the plan. You got to win 40 games. I don't think Ja alone is going to help them win 40 games.
Ja, Desmond
40.
Bain, and Jaron Jackson. You don't think have enough talent?
No. They have the talent, but it's too late. Like they're gonna be like 7 and let me look at the
18.
yeah, they're gonna be like 7 and 18 in a hole trying to come back in the West. And the West is very deep right now.
Right.
And Ja is very good, but you got to get these guys acclimated to go from 7 and 18 to just win 40 games in the West is very difficult.
Let me So I researched this, right?
Yeah.
You know me. I already looked at it, right? So here's the thing. This is what they're looking at in March: Portland, Brooklyn, Philly, Atlanta, OKC, Washington, Charlotte, OKC, Sacramento, Golden State, San Antonio, Denver, Lakers, Orlando.
They could easily be 20 games under 500 by that point.
By that
Before you
time,
even get there,
okay,
which is
okay,
it's not a slight to them or their talent. It's just number one, Marcus Smart, the guy they traded for, is hurt. Steven Adams is hurt.
right,
Right now, they have Desmond Bain and like two-way players and G-League players. Like it's gonna get worse. Like when I say 7-18, it might be worse than that. It legit might be like 4-21. Like
okay.
what is the record right now?
3 and something, 4 and
Yeah,
something, I think.
they,
3 and
they,
10.
was they legitimately might be 5-20 by that point.
Wow,
They're not. It's hard to win games when you have multiple starters out. They have multiple starters out. Like Ja is a starter, Marcus Smart is a starter caliber player. He might come off the bench, which I'll come to that. But Steven Adams is also out for the year.
right.
And your replacement players are not really NBA players. Like they got
Well,
Kenny Lofton Jr. out there. And he's
yeah,
not an NBA player. Sorry, he's not.
no. I'm thinking they're going to shock people because of the emergence of some of the young players that they have. Right, not your Xavier Tillmans, but your Xavier Williams,
Zaire?
or yeah, Zaire Williams. I'm sorry, Zaire Williams. I can see him emerging. He looks wiggly, bro. He looks really wiggly.
Problem with
Yeah,
him is he's extremely inconsistent. He's
yeah.
not a
I
good
think
shooter.
he's what, 20?
He's 22, but he's not a good shooter.
He's 22 already.
Yeah, he's 22.
Wow.
He's not a good shooter. Like
No,
not
he's not
even a
good.
little. And when you need like, if you're talking about guys that are making a breakout, usually the first thing that you talk about is the shooting.
If
And
free
I know,
throws,
yeah, and you want ultimately like he was a top 10 pick, lotto pick. You want a little bit more out of him right now, but he's even with all the injuries, he's not even clocking 30 minutes in a situation like this where they're going all in on development
right,
because he's
right,
just not consistent. That's my problem with not to disparage your point like about the breakout with them, but
right,
they
right,
might be too far in a hole to dig it out because even if they do play well,
right,
you got to at least get to 500 basketball to
right.
make the play in. And I don't know if they can get there just off of John coming back.
In the Western Conference, I think it's there's potential for it because I think there would be some wins that are unexpected,
They haven't gotten
but
them
like
yet.
I don't see Golden State being anything.
They'll be better
Yeah,
they'll be a playing team at the very least. But like Freezy, they're not going to have a better record than Timberwolves. They're not going to have one of the Nuggets. They're not going to catch Thunder.
no,
Speaking of the Thunder, like I'm telling you, SGA is very impactful, 10-4. But I digress. The Mavericks are
right.
going to be up there. The Kings are going to be up there. The Lakers
I
are
think I
going to
think
be up
that's the
there.
team. I think that's the team
The
that
Mavericks,
on the other
the
end of the
Kings.
schedule. Yeah, I think where I have Memphis, surprising teams with the arrow going up. I think the Mavericks are going to surprise teams that because at the end of the day, their interior defense is you can't cross the Atlantic with a hole in your boat. You just can't,
Nope.
and they do that every night. Right?
Look,
You
this is the
can't.
thing. They have enough talent to
They have enough
offensive
scoring
talent
talent, offensive
to
talent. Yeah,
to at worst be a 500 team. And I see them better than a 500 team. I see them like a 47-35
right,
type team.
right, right. I see them. As a 42-win team.
That's still ahead of where the Grizzlies are going to be.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll
But the
continue.
expectation for Dallas, in my
Yeah, the
opinion,
expectation is different because
yeah,
they want
yeah,
to have deep playoff runs. That's what they want.
yeah. So my expectation for Dallas is to be a 55-win team with their offensive weaponry. They should be able to just go out and find a Torrey Craig off the scrap heap, right?
Their issue isn't really perimeter defense. Their issue is they have no bigs, none.
Well, no, Derek Lively is good. Derek
He's too
Lively,
young. He's
but
too
he's
young.
too young.
And
Yeah,
like when he goes against real bigs, you see he's out of his weight class.
and then it's exacerbated by
They
him
have no
going up
backup.
against him going up against 2 or 3 guys rebounding every night when he's lighting the rump.
Yeah, and then they have their backup is Dwight Powell.
And so that leads to Lively getting in foul trouble.
Exactly. So
Right.
I can keep naming teams like the Suns. You know, they're not as great as they might be advertised with the injuries, but they're going to be if what's his
They're
name
going to be
come back.
power punches in the playoffs, bro.
Yeah, they're going to be a team you don't want to see. The Rockets have changed their culture. They started winning some basketball games.
Because
The Pelicans are a team I'm just up and down on. Talent is there, though. Very evident.
I think Willie Green is going to get fired.
But they're not a team that's going to be at the bottom of the West. And the Clippers have the talent, so we'll see. Clippers are
I
5 and
think
7
they're going
right
to be.
now.
They're going to be. Willie
Clippers
Green's
won 2 in a row.
Yeah, but I think the Pelicans they're going to fire Willie Green over politics, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Zion politics.
Yeah, and other things. They can't stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to have to they're going to want to pin the blame on somebody.
Yeah.
And so generally in small markets, it's the coach. Because you can't afford to alienate players in small markets. So, yeah. Any big trades you see on the horizon outside of Zach LaVine?
Pascal's going to get moved.
Mm.
Raptors are not looking too hot right now. They're just wasting time. They're going to move Pascal. Pascal's going to get traded to somebody.
Yeah, I think OG Anunoby's gone also. If I'm Dallas, I'm ahead of the line in the Pascal talks. I don't care if they just sign Grant Williams. I don't care.
Yeah, you don't make that. No, you put him in the lineup and think about what Grant Williams can play a 3 or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Whatever, come off the bench, whatever. It don't matter.
Yeah,
it don't matter. You'll have a three-person rotation. At the but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Pascal's got to go. But yeah.
That's all I got, y'all. You got something else before we get out of here?
That's it. You got through a lot of stuff right there. Real rapid fire.
Real rapid fire. It's amazing. It's amazing what 2 people can do on a thing as opposed to like an open panel, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get there one day, but for right now, I'm just gonna enjoy it like this. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Happy holidays.
Man, thank you. Peace, everybody. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I think we are up to 3 or 4 subscribers. So we're doing good. So if you like this and if you enjoy content like this, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.
Peace.